which is customization of your JadeBots. That's something that we talked about in the video, and that's something that I noticed a lot of you watching had called out, so I want to make sure that we give you all the details of what my inventory full of goodies is all about here. So I'm going to head over to this JadeBot workbench, and let's get started with our JadeBot Power Core first, right, Ben?
Yeah, so you get 3 inventory slots. You get a power core slot, and then what we collectively call modules, the sensory arrays and service chips. The power core is what fictionally allows your bot to function. It needs a power core to do almost anything that you want it to do.
Makes sense.
In addition to powering your modules and stuff like that, it also gives the user a vitality boost. You can see you have a tier 10, which is the max tier. It gives you a 235 points of vitality. We don't have any other stats that you can get right now. It is something that we're considering, but something we'll be taking a look at probably later. The next thing is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think we're probably going to say the same thing, but let's find out.
No, I was going to mention that if you don't want to use your JadeBot for whatever reason, all you really need to do is unequip the power core. I'll be really sad about it, but you can turn off pretty much all JadeBot functions by removing the power core.
Okay, yeah, that is true. If you do not love the cute little friend, but you want to fill out your mastery track because completionist exists, and I might be one of them, you just don't have to equip the power core. I do want to touch on you don't have to. You will get a power core, and that's part of the method I've been talking about in a second. This is a stat increase, so we didn't want to lock people out of that. So you need to be level 80. You don't have to have End of Dragons. You're going to get the power core. And Ben, you can touch on that a little more.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, this gives additional stats. We didn't want to gate it behind anything because we don't want to make the people feel like you had to buy the expansion to get those extra stats. So while you won't get one for free if you don't have JadeBots unlocked and you don't have End of Dragons, they are tradable, so you can get them on the trading post. You do have to be level 80 to equip them. But yeah, anybody level 80 can equip a power core, whether they have JadeBots or End of Dragons.
Perfect. All right, well, let's start looking at these modules and what you can do with them. We'll start with sensory arrays, and that unlocks as soon as you get your JadeBot, right?
Yeah, sensory arrays, you don't have to have a high tier power core to get or to unlock that slot. And you'll get your first sensory array along with your JadeBot and power core when you unlock it in the story.
Okay, well, let's talk about what they are. I've got the scavenger protocols up first.
Yeah, so what the scavenger protocols do, you can basically command your bot to search enemies you kill for additional loot. So like the one you had right there, leather, if you have this equipped, every once in a while your JadeBot will scan a corpse and find a little extra leather. It's somewhat rare. We didn't want people to be just able to gather tons of extra resources by doing this, but getting a little bonus every once in a while definitely is pretty helpful, especially if you're trying to craft something that requires a lot of a specific resource.
Yeah, and there are 6 of those sensory arrays available with the scavenger protocol, so you can kind of customize that and get exactly the kind of thing that you're after. All right, let's look at the next one, which is the recycler, something that I saw a lot of questions about too. So I'll let you run with that, Ben.
Yeah, for the recyclers, basically if you have this equipped, your JadeBot will be scanning for any really cheap junk items that you get, like the really low value stuff. And as you get it, it'll just transform it into whatever you ask it to. So in this case, Bloodstone Dust, Dragonite. I think what most people will probably end up using is you can get it karma from it, or for me the most interesting thing is the Jade Slivers, because that's actually a new currency that you can go to a vendor for and get useful items from with these slivers.
Nice. Yeah, and this doesn't replace it's kind of like the rescue protocol. It doesn't replace things you already have. This just ensures that the low value junk items turn into something that you specifically want, and we're giving you that choice.
Yeah, the higher value junk items, we didn't want to have it recycled, mainly because for the most cases, you'd probably rather have the gold when it's really high value. But it's meant to be just the really small junk items.
All right, so that's those two. Those, let's see, Recycler and Scavenger protocols, Ben, where all are those available? Because this is one of those exceptions we talked about.
Yeah, those actually work in World versus World. That's kind of the one exception for a lot of for things to work in World versus World. A lot of this other stuff doesn't. Like the power core stats are only available in PVE. They're not available in World versus World or PvP. But for the Scavenger and Recycler, there wasn't any reason why they shouldn't work in World versus World. And the strikes and fractals and all that, so they definitely will work there.
Awesome. All right, let's touch on these last couple, and then we will move on to the other half of this. So the first one in the sensory array, aside from that, is the Turtle Siege Enhancer.
Yeah, so the Siege Enhancer, for anybody who likes to be a gunner on the turtle mounts, if you equip one of these modules, you'll get a damage boost to the bombardment skill. Like you'll notice, you have a tier 3 one here. There's 3 tiers for the non-scavenger and the non-recycler modules. There's always 3 tiers.
Yeah, and I've got the tier 3. I am ready to make a mess, and I'm incredibly excited about it. Also, for your other mounts, you have the energy booster. Same thing, the 3 tiers, right?
Yeah, 3 tiers. And this one, you'll get the tier 1 version of this for free in the story. This is probably what I'll mostly default when I'm not looking for loot, because this basically just lets your mount regenerate energy faster. Do all the cool movement mechanics a little bit more often.
Okay. All right, so that is the sensory arrays that we have available. We talked about the 10 tiers of power core. Once you have a tier 6 power core, you will unlock the service chips, which make your Jade Bot even more versatile. And I will let Ben run us through each of these.
Yeah, we have, right now we have 4 different types of service chip, each with 3 tiers, like with the other ones. The one you have right now, the Glide Boost, that's one that lets you basically increase the height that your Jade Bot can boost you up. Tier 3, you go pretty significantly higher than standard Glide Boost.
Yeah. Now, just to be super clear, even if you don't have this particular service chip equipped, you still get that glider boost because it's part of the mastery track. This just enhances it, right?
Right. Yeah, this is just an enhancement to the base one, because the base one is, while it's fun, it's pretty limited in general.
Okay. All right. Let's touch on these other 3. The Skiff Supercharger.
So you probably all saw the Skiff Supercharger in the promotional video that we put out. It's a real fun one if you plan to be doing a lot of boating around on your skiff. Pretty straightforward, just increases the base speed of your skiff. You can get going real quick if you have, especially with a tier 3, going max speed, all your boat masteries, and then use the turbo boost. You go fast enough that you can actually beach yourself with the skiff, which is actually kind of a fun way to dismount rather than just a normal dismounting.
Yeah, it's efficient.
Yeah.
Every time you talk about that, I laugh. Because all I can picture is a player character like beaching his skiff up there, throwing the keys to the valet, and like strutting away after leaving just destruction in their wake.
Yeah, that's how I enter every single event.
Right? And I can't wait to see players actually making this happen, Ben, now that you have explained how this can be done. Let's make a mess. All right. Next up is the Rescue Protocol Recharge. And Ben, you mentioned the cooldown. This helps with that a little bit.
Yeah, the base cooldown on Rescue Protocol is 10 minutes, and you can shave time off that with these Rescue Protocol modules. This is definitely one in combat I'll probably use because, like I said, I'm an Ellie and I end up in downstate quite often. So you can get it down to 6 minutes with the tier 3.
All right. And finally, the Treasure Hunter Protocol.
The Treasure Hunter Protocol basically has your JadeBot scanning for treasure chests in the world and drawing their location on your map. The higher tiers give a larger radius. It's very handy. And to make it clear, it's not actually spawning the chest; it's telling you where chests that already exist are. The one cool thing is this works on any chest in the game, so we did a pretty concerted effort to try to mark every chest, even in older parts of Tyria, so this should work there. It was a kind of a hand process. If you do find a treasure chest that doesn't mark, let me know and I'll get it added. Yeah, it makes finding treasure a lot easier because I'm not the type of person who really likes to do the search and find type thing. I just like somebody to tell me where it is and I'll just go get it. So this is pretty helpful when you want to find those chests.
And you are the person who spent a lot of time looking for these chests, right? So I feel like you're done searching for chests for until the end of time.
Yeah, I went through pretty much everything. Everything marked as a chest in the game, I basically altered over the past few months. That being said, sometimes we name things weird, so if it wasn't named chest, I might have missed it.
Let us know if you find one that the Jade Bot did not find. All right, so that's your customization. One more note on the modules. These are all craftable and tradable, right?
Yeah, you basically, the first tiers, I think they're all in this vendor, but the ones after that will require crafting research, and then the tier 3 ones actually require both crafting research and for you to get a loot drop from the world. So there's specific monsters that will drop specific pieces for the tier 3 versions of the recipes.
All right, and then
or for
to upgrade...
3 versions of the modules, yeah.
Yeah. All right, to upgrade these, so you'll need some random drops. Keep an eye on what you're rounding up as you're out in the world doing your damage.
Yeah.
All right. So there's our walkthrough of Jade Bots. There are a couple of other questions that I do want to touch on and make sure that you all get the answers to those that you wanted. Can I hide, if I don't want a sea of Jade Bots in front of me, can I hide other players' Jade Bots?
You can't hide other people's Jade Bots. We purposely... One of the reasons why their JadeBot isn't up all the time is that we realized how messy it would make things look. So your JadeBot pretty much only takes or only spawns in when it's taking a specific action, like you're having a gather power from a battery or you're using a zip line. The one thing like you can do is that you can, like we said, you can disable your own through removing the power core, but the kind of interesting thing, one of the reasons why the JadeBot isn't up all the time is we're concerned about server performance of having another entity spawn. So we actually, and this might be revealing a little bit too much, but we actually fake most of the JadeBot animations with effects. It's not actual things spawning in the world to make it a little bit easier on the server.
Okay.
So we kind of invented a new art pipeline.
That works. Like, all right, so it's kind of a skill effect. So while you can't hide other people's Jade Bots, we did keep in mind that they don't need to be out there in the world all the time, constantly. So yeah, if they're actively doing an action, or if, like I'm doing right now, if they're in direct control mode, you can see them. Otherwise, it's not going to be Jade Bot world as far as the eye can see. So, and Ben, you touched on this earlier. If you don't want to use the Jade Bot at all, just don't equip the power core and it will not be a thing for you.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
Oh my gosh, she's dancing. Ah! Sorry, that was completely beside the point, but he did a little dance. All right, and I have one more question. Since you need the Jade Bot workbenches to switch out your modules, where are those located?
Currently, they're just in Cantha. That might change later on. Indigo can kind of talk about maybe the potential future around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're mostly in Cantha right now, and that's just because, I mean, Cantha's been closed off for the last 250 years, so Jade technology isn't going to be present in the rest of Tyria yet. But it's definitely a discussion that we're starting to explore and what the story looks like in a post-End of Dragons world. I know that I'm really specifically excited to see what Char and Asuran technology do, not just with the Jade Bots, but with the Hollow projectors, and we're going to start to see kind of what happens as that technology becomes more widespread. So not yet, but soon.
Perfect. All right, and the incredibly important question, can I name my Jade Bot?
Unfortunately, because the Jade Bots are mostly skill effects, and we can't name skill effects.
Right.
Well, we didn't put that feature in, but as I've told people, you can name it in your heart, decide what you want to call it, and that's what it is.
I'm explaining that they're skill effects, but I thought I would touch on it anyway. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed your overview of the Jade Bots and how they work and how you can get your very own. Ben and Indigo, thank you both so much for spending time to walk us through all of this.